Hello, everyone. My name's Tanya Monique. I just wanted to come on here today to honour how scary and terrifying it is to live in your magic, to share your magic, to expose this magical part of yourself. And it's been it's been a long journey, but very recently, I've come across this understanding in myself of why I wasn't being able to live my full life. And so I suppose right now what I'm doing is I'm sharing with you the journey of where I am now and why I've kind of changed to speaking about your magic. And this is because I've discovered it for myself. So my story, my childhood is one of many traumas. And then I've moved on to experience, because of this, many traumas in my teenage life and then in my adult life. And then I came to a place where I was safe and I could stop just surviving. And I moved on to search for some deeper meaning in life. And as we all do when we become parents, we become a bit stuck in what the life is for our children and what happened. And then I've tried to move forward. I've discovered a way of working with people. I did my bachelor's degree in counselling and felt like it's not enough. It isn't enough. It's enough when we're talking about our trauma initially, because we do have to share what happened to us. And sometimes people have never shared that. And we need this space where we can be heard, where our inner child can be heard. And talking therapy is magnificent for that, for those initial stages where we just need to share our lives and what happens to us, or what happened for us, as I like to say. And then we need something deeper, right? Then we need something that transforms us, something that changes the energy inside of us, that helps us release that. Because sometimes talking is enough. Sometimes in talking, we bring it to the light and we're able to release that. But from my experience, we need to go deeper and deeper and deeper through the layers. And I did a lot of talk therapy myself. I was in counselling for about 5 years, which is a very long time, considering how short a time I can work with someone once I connect intuitively and energetically to what is going on. This allows the shift to become a lot quicker and a lot deeper. So this is where I've come to put my intuition, my energetic work into my counselling, because I do have a way of hearing what people are not saying and being able to communicate with language better at one-on-one. And to really help people, hey Barb, you're on my live now, to really help people transform the trauma that is inside of them and go through it. That's my belief, is that I am the safety, or that you need someone safe to allow you to go through what you believe is the mud, to go through the darkness instead of avoiding it, because this is what we do. We avoid it and leave it all sitting there. And that's what talk therapy still can do if you are not really giving it your all, if there's not an alchemy between the therapist and the client, if the therapist has unresolved issues, they are not able to go there. I experienced with my trauma counselling that I caused terror in my counsellors. Whenever I spoke about my story, I felt their fear. They went into fear. They realised they couldn't handle what was being brought to the story, because I am so high functioning. People are shocked when I told them what's going on underneath, because they're not expecting it, right? If we're very judgmental about what someone that's had trauma looks like, behaves like, And as women, we're very good at covering what's going on underneath, which can be an issue. So, you know, that kind of thing can cause detriment when you're the client feeling like you then have to make sure your counsellor is safe. Now I'm going off track because I'm getting excited about what I do and how I work. So just coming back to my story, which is probably, you know, something that is hard to share. So I've then realized, you know, not all women need to know their magic. Not all men need to know their magic. Not everyone is willing to have a magnificent life. Some people are very, very happy to just live a normal, mundane life. I am not one of them. And I believe that any woman that comes across my path or that wants to work with me is not one of them. And it feels like you have to be very different from the rest, like you're asking for more, like you're wanting too much, like, and there's fear to go from the normal mundane, what we're told everyone should be if they're having a happy life. You know, you should be married, you should have 2 children, you should have a car, you should have the big house, you should have the great job. And then we have that and we're like, yeah, this shit, we want more. And there's a fear around wanting that. And so, you know, my work might sound, I believe sometimes it sounds very basic about finding your magic within. But from my experience, it was so powerful. So for me to move beyond living a normal life, every time I tried to move past the upper limit that I had put on myself because of society saying, everything you've got's amazing, this is it. This is it, you know, this is it. That feeling is this freaking it. Really? Is it it? And I had this belief that no, this is not it. There's something more. But every time I tried to reach up, you know, I'm doing the 3rd level intuitive intelligence, intuitive guide certification. And it asks of us to be more, to want more, to strive for more. And so I work, you know, really hard to make myself a clear vessel, to clear all of my shit so I can take my client as far as she needs to go. Because from what I've experienced in myself, if I cannot see it in myself, I cannot take my client further. And that is not used as a judgment against anyone or even a judgment against myself, because that shouldn't stop you from trying or from doing this work. Because you will get clients that only want to go this far, or that you take them way further than where you are, but then you get to the point where you can't take them any further, and sometimes they need to move on. So you don't have to be that for everyone. You don't have to be the person who takes them all the way to infinite possibilities, but you need to take them as far as you can, and it shouldn't be as far as you're willing. It should be that you're striving to be the clearest vessel, and that means going further and further and further on your journey. We can't do that all at once. We need to take the little steps. And for me, every time I tried to step right outside of my comfort zone, there was this block. I'd just get snapped back down. And I had this quite profound session with my mentor, Ricky Jane, which was quite agonizing at the time, where I met my shame, and I couldn't understand it for quite a few weeks. I will admit I was in fear. I was not happy about the way I felt. I was trying every which way to get out of it, until one of my dear sisters held me and recognized the shame, and I was able to fully sit in that shame and that part of me that I was just like, you know, I felt this utter disgust and, you know, the ickiness and just this, you know, all the words, vulgar, you know, all those horrible words come up when there's shame. And shame is a big one that comes up so often, because every time we try and move past ourselves or try and raise ourselves to another level. If we have this deep shame, shame sits in your energetic field, like tar, like mud, and it keeps us from going near it because it is so afraid of us going near it that it sends all sorts of triggers and stops you in your tracks all the time. You're not enough, you're not enough, you're not enough. And it can, as we move through our layers of building our confidence, this gets stronger and stronger. So from my experience, I hit it and realized that this is where my work is. This is where my work with my clients, this is where I can take them now, which is so exciting, to work in this field or this way, is that when we hit something in ourselves, we always want to share, and there's this excitement that, oh my God, now I can help others get there. And what I experienced once I went into my shame and sat with it and gave it some love, I realized that this was the part of me that I had cut off from myself. So I was trying to work from a place of not being wholly myself. When we say I'm broken or I'm not whole, that's untrue in an energetic way or even a physical way. But what it is we've cut off that part of ourselves. We've deemed that part of our usually inner child as being not enough. And to rise into our magic, it's like you've got your one foot trapped in a bear claw, them bear traps. One foot is trapped there, and every time you try and reach up, you'll get snapped back down, from my experience. But once I sat in that deep shame, that part of myself that I was just wanting to avoid, when you go through it, there's your magic. There's that part of yourself that was there as a child, that beauty, that innocence, that little girl that knew it all, and she did know it all. The life that she dreamed of is real for you, but we put it down because we become afraid to see it. And thank you, guys. I find it really hard to read comments too, and I lose track. Yeah, shame is like tar, yes. And, I've found that my work is going there, in going to the icky parts of people's bodies and seeing the stale, smelly, gross parts. And, all of these words and feelings is what our ego puts in place to keep us from that part. Because the way I see it in the energetic body is that, we have all our shit, and it sits down there. And as we do more work, we move it down until we get to the bottom. And some people don't go any further because they don't need to. But there's people like me, and probably the people that come and see me, that want to really be their magic and be in their magic. And so what happens, what I see, is we get right down, and then there's this space in which we hold ourselves away from, and we give it thoughts and feelings and smells, because this could be from trauma or whatever it is. It's our way of keeping ourselves from it. And once we go into this space, into this rotting, decaying, whatever it is you're feeling, and just sit in it and be held in it, which is what I do so well. And then you are able to do that for yourself, right? Is once we sit in that and just have a look around, and we are unafraid of it, yes, be the best version we can be, then we, underneath that, is our utter magic and our light. And I've experienced this with people that, once they go through that, then they're able to connect to their magic, which is my word, and for you it might be different. It might be your light, your, the fullest expression of yourself. So my work is for people who want to experience that fullest expression of themselves, the truest, magnificent, but most magnificent version of themselves. And what I wanted to honor today, which is what I am feeling, is how scary it can actually be once you have found and exposed your magic. Because we've come from lines and lines of women where it was not safe to do so. And as my glorious sister Barb Kiddo has being shone a light for me this morning is this, you know, this experience as women where we have not been allowed to be fucking magic and be glorious. And so in doing so reveals the next layer where it might feel unsafe to be in your magic, to be in your light. And so I just wanted to honor that if you are there, that I'm feeling that too. And I wanted to be the demonstration, which is what I wrote in my webinar post. You know, I feel the fear, but I do it anyway. And I do it for all of you because I want you to know that that not everyone finds it easy. And that it should not stop you, and that everything you see on Facebook with people in, you know, putting themselves out there, is that a lot of this, what you're seeing right now, is hidden. And I want to bring that to you today, the truth that behind the scenes it is not easy, and that it's nothing to be afraid of, and that it is fine to step into your power, to step into your magic, to step into your light. And I wanted to come on here and share that with you, that just because it feels unsafe or feels, you know, like the tears that I'm having right now, doesn't mean that you need to stop, because we see people doing it so well. They speak so eloquently. They say the right words. They have the right background. They seem so confident. And that's what I wanted to bring you, that is not always the truth, and that to do this work, to be in your magic, and it doesn't have to mean doing this work. It can just mean being the best version of yourself, or whatever it is that you aspire to. That just because it's not easy doesn't mean it's not for you and that you should stop. Or just because you can't speak really well like me, you know, or, you know, that you don't have the right words or you don't know what to say, doesn't mean you should stop, because the more that you do, the easier that it gets. And the more that you do, the more that you show up, even when it's hard, you unlock keys for others. You unlock vaults in others to allow them to see themselves in you. And then, you know, this magic is exposed to everyone. And this is what I wish for all women to, like Barb has said, you know, to have someone that they are totally safe to see the icky with, because this is something that we are unafraid to see. We are afraid to see in ourselves. We don't even want to face it, let alone tell someone else. So I wanted to assure you that I have done my work to sit with your shame, to sit with your deepest fear, to sit with your ickiness, your repulsion against yourself. And I can promise you that I will see it with such great love and honor and privilege that you will see it for yourself. And I don't mean to be adding this as a way of selling my services, because that is not why I'm saying it at all. What I want you to know is that this is what the infinite wants for you, that no matter who it is, there is someone there that will be able to sit with you, even if it is yourself. If you can honor yourself and sit with your deep shame, that deep disgust that you have about a part of yourself, your life will be transformed, because tangled like a big mess, or underneath it, or however you see it, is the divine in you, is your magic, is your light, is your power, is your everything. And you might think that you have access to that, but if you have this niggling feeling that you are not enough, you do not have full access to that expression. And the full access is that's what I'm saying is terrifying, and it's terrifying to expose that because we have so much fear around the persecution of women speaking out about power, about magic, about our light, you know, that we're going to be called a witch, a fraud, as Barb Kiddo, you know, just brought up to me before, or that you're crazy, or some type of hippie, as my daughter calls me, or that people are going to think that you're unstable, or that it makes you unsafe, because quite often with abuse we believe that this happened because we were in our light, we were in our magic. And I wanted to bring to you today that it is safe to see all of yourself in the light of love. It is safe to bring all of yourself out of the shadows. It is safe to walk through your shadows. It is safe to expose your magic. It is safe to expose your light. It is safe to expose your power. And just remember that deep knowing inside of yourself that you are made for a magical life, and that there is so much more for you to be and to explore and to have, and it is limitless. Thank you for joining me, dear sisters, and thank you for listening. Much love.